There are places on this earth where time does not move as it does elsewhere, places where the air feels heavier, where silence presses in from all sides, and where every stone seems to remember. For thousands of years, human history has been recorded in books, etched into tablets, painted on the walls of caves. We think we know the order of things, how humans began, how we learned to build, to organize, to worship. But then, something appears that does not fit. And in southeastern Turkey, there is such a place, a hill, unremarkable from a distance, a mound of earth beneath an open sky, but buried inside is the oldest temple in the world, older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, older even than the first cities of Mesopotamia. Its name is Göbekli Tepe. Discovered in the 1990s, it stunned archaeologists. Here stood massive stone pillars, some taller than a man, others weighing tons, arranged in perfect circles. The stones are carved with foxes, lions, snakes, vultures, and strange abstract symbols that no one can fully explain. What is even stranger, there were no homes here, no streets, no signs of farming or daily life. It was not a village, it was not a city, it was a gathering place, a temple to something we no longer understand. Archaeologists believe Göbekli Tepe was built at least 12,000 years ago by people we once thought were only hunters and gatherers. They should not have had the tools or the knowledge to build something like this. And yet, here it stands. So who built it? And why? Some believe it was a place of ritual, where tribes came together under the watch of stone guardians. Others suggest it was an astronomical observatory, aligning with the stars. A few whisper that it was meant to protect knowledge from a world-changing disaster. We may never know the truth. The answers are still buried, deep under the same earth that hid this place for thousands of years. And until those secrets are unearthed, Göbekli Tepe will continue to watch over the hill in silence. Far across the oceans, in the dry deserts of southern Peru, lies a puzzle carved into the earth itself. From the ground, it seems like nothing, just lines scratched into the dusty soil. But from the air, the desert transforms, shapes emerge, animals, plants, and patterns stretch for miles. This is the mystery of the Nazca Lines. Some figures are simple, straight lines running perfectly across the barren plain. Others are astonishing. A hummingbird with delicate wings, a monkey with a curling tail, a spider stretching impossibly long legs. They are so large, so precise, that the full images can only be seen from high above. But the Nazca people had no way to fly. The lines were made at least 1,500 years ago by scraping away the dark surface stones to reveal lighter soil beneath. And somehow, despite centuries of wind and sand, the shapes remain perfectly preserved. Why were they made? Some believe they were giant offerings to the gods, messages written large enough for deities in the sky to see. Others think they were part of a vast astronomical calendar, mapping the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. And a few whisper that they are landing markers, created for visitors from beyond our world. The desert holds its breath. The wind moves softly across the plain, carrying nothing but silence. The lines remain where they have always been, etched into the skin of the earth, waiting for someone, anyone, to read their meaning. The lines of Nazca remain silent, etched into the skin of the earth for over 1,000 years. Perhaps they were messages to the gods. Perhaps they were meant for eyes not of this world. We can only guess. But far from the deserts of Peru, across oceans and continents, another monument rises from the sands. It is not drawn upon the earth, but built high above it, block by massive block. And like the Nazca Lines, it too points toward the sky. Beneath the burning Egyptian sun, rising from the endless sea of sand, 3 ancient giants cast their shadows across the desert. The Pyramids of Giza, silent, timeless, and impossibly perfect. The largest, the Great Pyramid, once shone with polished white limestone that reflected the sunlight so brightly it could be seen from miles away. 4 sides, aligned almost perfectly to the cardinal directions. Over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing as much as a small car, stacked with such precision that even today, a razor blade cannot slip between them. For thousands of years they have stood here, watching empires rise and fall, holding secrets we still cannot unravel. How were they built? The official story speaks of tens of thousands of laborers working for decades. But even modern cranes and machines would struggle to lift and place such massive stones with that level of accuracy. And then there is the alignment. The Great Pyramid is oriented almost perfectly north, a feat that even the best surveyors today would find challenging without advanced tools. Some researchers point out that the 3 pyramids mirror the 3 stars of Orion's belt, suggesting an astronomical purpose. Others believe they were more than tombs, that they were machines, harnessing energy in ways long forgotten. Legends whisper of knowledge passed down from a civilization older than Egypt itself, a time when humans, and perhaps something else, worked together to create a message in stone. The desert winds move softly over the sand, wrapping the pyramids in an unbroken silence. They stand as they always have, eternal watchers of the horizon, waiting for the day when their purpose is finally understood. The pyramids stand in silence, their sharp edges cutting into the desert sky. They have outlived empires, kings, and every living soul who once touched them. Yet their purpose, like the desert wind, slips through our fingers. But far to the north, in a land of rolling green hills and endless mist, another circle of stone rises from the earth. Here, the sands are replaced by grass, the burning sun by a pale, drifting fog, and though it is smaller than the pyramids, its mystery is no less profound. In the quiet fields of southern England, a circle of massive stones stands against the horizon. Some lie fallen, others remain upright, each weighing up to 25 tons. This is Stonehenge. From a distance, it seems almost simple, a ring of stones under the open sky. But look closer, and questions begin to stir. The stones are arranged with remarkable precision, aligned with the sunrise of the summer solstice and the sunset of the winter solstice. It is as if the builders carved the rhythm of the heavens into the earth itself. The earliest parts of Stonehenge were built over 4,000 years ago, but the largest stones, known as sarsens, were transported from miles away. No one knows exactly how. Even more mysterious are the smaller blue stones, believed to have come from quarries over 150 miles distant. Why was it built? Some believe Stonehenge was a temple to the sun and moon. Others say it was a burial site for the elite, or a place of healing where the sick came to be cured. And there are those who think it was a great astronomical observatory, a prehistoric computer mapping the movements of the stars. Stand here at dawn on the summer solstice, and you will see the first rays of sunlight pierce directly through the entrance stones, flooding the circle with golden light. It is a moment so precise, so deliberate, that it binds Stonehenge to both the earth and the sky. Yet, like the pyramids, it keeps its silence. The wind moves through the grass, the stones cast their long shadows, and the questions remain, waiting for answers that may never come. Stonehenge stands silent under the drifting clouds, its stones locked in a timeless circle. We leave it behind, carrying more questions than answers. And now, we cross vast oceans, leaving the green hills of England far behind. Ahead lies one of the most remote places on Earth, an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. thousands of miles from any continent. Here, colossal faces stare across the land, their gaze fixed on something only they seem to know. This is Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, as the local people call it, a place of windswept grasslands, volcanic hills, and a mystery carved in stone. Scattered across the island are nearly 900 massive stone figures, the Moai. Some stand proudly on stone platforms, called ahu, gazing inland. Others lie half-buried, as if they were left unfinished or toppled long ago. Each Moai can weigh up to 80 tons and stand over 30 feet tall. They were carved from volcanic tuff in a quarry known as Rano Raraku, and then somehow transported across the island, without wheels, without metal, without modern machinery. Why were they made? The most common belief is that they represent deified ancestors, powerful chiefs or important figures watching over the island's people. But why do they face inland, away from the sea? Some say they are guarding the villages. Others think they are absorbing spiritual energy from the land itself. Legends tell of the Moai walking into place, moving under their own power. Archaeologists believe they may have been walked by teams of people using ropes and a swaying motion. Yet even this leaves questions about the logistics of moving such massive stones over uneven ground. Today, the Moai stand weathered by centuries of sun, wind, and rain, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of the Rapa Nui civilization. The island's population once thrived, then collapsed, possibly from overuse of resources or from contact with outsiders. But the Moai remain, and when the wind rushes through the grass, you might almost hear them breathe, as if the stone itself still remembers. The Moai remain on their windswept island, gazing inland as they have for centuries. We leave them standing guard, their stone faces unblinking, their secrets unspoken. Now, we sail west across the endless Pacific, over continents and deserts, until the grass gives way to red sand and towering cliffs. Here, in the heart of the Jordanian desert, lies a city carved not from blocks of stone, but from the living rock of the mountains themselves. Its walls still glow with the color of the setting sun. This is Petra, the rose-red city of Jordan. Once the thriving capital of the Nabatean kingdom, it was a crossroads of trade, wealth, and culture. But what makes Petra truly remarkable is that it was carved entirely into the sandstone cliffs. The most famous structure, Al-Khazna, the treasury, rises from the rock like a vision. Its facade is nearly 40 meters high, decorated with intricate columns, statues, and carvings that have stood for over 2,000 years. It looks like something from a dream. Yet it is real, and it was made by hands that understood both art and engineering at a level still admired today. Petra was more than a city. It was a fortress, a ceremonial center, and a masterpiece of water engineering. Hidden channels and reservoirs brought life to this desert stronghold, allowing thousands to thrive where rain is rare. But its location was also its secret. Petra could only be reached through narrow canyons, like the Sick, a winding passage with walls so high they block out the sun. For traders and travelers, arriving at Petra must have felt like stepping into another world. And yet, as with all great cities, Petra's glory faded. Trade routes shifted, earthquakes struck, and eventually the city was abandoned, swallowed by sand and time. For centuries, it was known only to local Bedouins, until it was rediscovered by a Swiss explorer in 1812. Today, Petra is silent, but not dead. The wind still whistles through the Sick. The treasury still glows in the evening light. And if you stand there at sunset, you may feel the weight of thousands of forgotten footsteps, and wonder how many more secrets lie hidden in the rose-red stone. Petra fades behind us, its rose-red walls glowing in the last light of day. We leave it wrapped in its desert silence, where wind and time conspire to keep its secrets. Now, we cross oceans once more, westward, into the high mountains of South America. Here, above the clouds and along jagged ridges, lies a city so hidden that the world forgot it for centuries. A place where stone meets sky, and history walks in the mist. This is Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas. Perched nearly 8,000 feet above sea level in the Andes Mountains, it sits like a jewel on a mountain ridge, surrounded by peaks and clouds. Built in the 15th century under Emperor Pachacuti, Machu Picchu was unknown to the outside world until its rediscovery in 1911 by American explorer Hiram Bingham. What astonished him, and still amazes visitors today, is how perfectly the city blends with its surroundings. Massive stone walls fit together so precisely that no mortar was needed. The stones are cut to interlock, able to withstand earthquakes in this unstable region. Terraces carved into the mountain slopes allowed the Incas to farm in the thin mountain air, and sophisticated water channels brought fresh spring water to the city. But why was Machu Picchu built here, in such an inaccessible place? Some believe it was a royal retreat for the Inca elite, a place of ceremony and worship. Others think it was an astronomical observatory, where priests could track the movements of the sun and stars. And then, there is the mystery of its abandonment. The Spanish conquistadors never found it, yet by the time it was rediscovered, Machu Picchu had long been empty. Its buildings, plazas, and temples stood silent, waiting for the footsteps of the living to return. Today, standing at Machu Picchu as the morning mist rises, you can watch the sun break over the mountains and flood the city with light. It is a moment that feels almost sacred, like touching the heartbeat of a vanished world. Machu Picchu fades into the mist, its terraces and temples glowing in the morning sun. We leave it high in the Andes, wrapped in clouds, holding on to the secrets of the Inca. Now we travel halfway across the world, to a land of vast plains, ancient mountains, and one of the most ambitious constructions in human history. A wall so long it can be seen from space, and yet parts of it have been lost, swallowed by time, hidden by nature, and forgotten by history. The Great Wall of China stretches over 13,000 miles, winding over mountains, deserts, and grasslands. Built over centuries by different dynasties, it was meant to protect the empire from invasions and to project power across the land. We all know the famous restored sections, wide stone paths, sturdy watchtowers, and crowds of visitors. But far from the tourist spots, deep in the wilderness, lie the forgotten sections. Here, the wall crumbles into the earth, its stones scattered, its watchtowers reduced to lonely piles of brick. Some stretches have been swallowed by forests. Others have eroded into the hillsides until they are almost invisible. And yet, even in ruin, they follow the same winding path, like the spine of some ancient dragon sleeping under the land. Why were these sections abandoned? Some were built from rammed earth instead of stone, making them vulnerable to the elements. Others fell after centuries of neglect, their stones taken by villagers to build homes. And some may have been intentionally erased from maps and records, their purpose lost to time. Standing at one of these remote ruins, there is no sound but the wind. The land stretches in every direction, empty and vast. It is easy to imagine the soldiers who once patrolled here, watching the horizon for enemies who would never come. The Great Wall is often called a single structure, but in truth it is 1,000 stories stitched together, a tapestry of ambition, war, and endurance. And the lost sections are its whispers, telling of the parts of history we no longer see, but can still feel beneath our feet. The Great Wall fades into the horizon, its broken stones blending with the hills. We leave it behind, its forgotten towers keeping silent watch over empty lands. Now, we travel south, across rivers, jungles, and centuries of history, until the air grows thick with heat and the calls of unseen birds echo through the trees. Here, in the heart of Cambodia, lies a city of stone so vast it swallows the jungle, and so intricate that it seems the work of gods rather than men. Angkor. Once the capital of the Khmer Empire, it was the largest city in the world during the 12th century, home to hundreds of thousands of people. Today, it is a sprawling complex of temples, reservoirs, and causeways, dominated by the awe-inspiring Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat itself is the largest religious monument on Earth. Its central towers rise like lotus buds above 5 levels of intricately carved galleries, each wall covered with detailed bas-reliefs depicting battles, legends, and celestial beings. From the air, the temple is a perfect rectangle, surrounded by a massive moat that shimmers in the sun. To the north lies Angkor Wat, the last great capital of the Khmer Empire. Here stands the Bayon Temple, with its 54 towers, each carved with 4 serene faces, smiling enigmatically in every direction. Some say these faces represent the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. Others believe they are the likeness of King Jayavarman VII himself, watching over his realm for eternity. The sheer scale of Angkor raises questions. How did the Khmer engineers move such massive stones, carve such fine details, and align their temples with astronomical precision? And what led to the city's decline? Historians point to drought, war, and shifting trade routes. But walking among the ruins, it feels as if the jungle itself rose up to reclaim what was once its own. At dawn, the towers of Angkor Wat are silhouetted against a pink sky, their reflection glowing in the still waters of the moat. It is a sight that feels eternal, as though time flows differently here, and the stones are still whispering the glory of a kingdom long gone. The towers of Angkor Wat fade into the pink light of dawn, their reflections trembling in the still waters. We leave them standing in the jungle's embrace, their stone faces turned toward eternity. Now, our journey takes us west again, across oceans and deserts, to the land of ancient pharaohs. Here, on the Giza Plateau, a single figure has watched the world for thousands of years, a guardian with the body of a lion and the face of a man. And the stones beneath it tell a story older than anyone imagined. The great Sphinx of Giza sits beside the pyramids, carved from a single massive block of limestone. It is over 240 feet long, 66 feet high, and thought to represent Pharaoh Khafra, but no one can say for certain. The official view places its construction around 4,500 years ago. Yet, when geologist Robert Schoch examined the weathering on the Sphinx in the 1990s, he saw something unexpected. The deep vertical fissures on its body looked more like the result of heavy rainfall than wind and sand. But Giza has not seen such rains for thousands of years, long before the reign of Khafra. If the Sphinx shows signs of water erosion, it could mean it is far older than we believe, perhaps dating back to a time before recorded Egyptian history. This possibility has ignited fierce debate among archaeologists, geologists, and historians. Was there a lost civilization that predated the dynasties of Egypt, capable of carving such a monument? Or is the erosion the result of some unknown process we have yet to understand? Adding to the mystery is the fact that there are no ancient records describing the Sphinx's construction. It simply appears in history, already old, already watching. Standing before it today, you feel its gaze, a silent, unblinking stare across the desert. The pyramids rise behind it, the sky stretches endlessly above, and the sands shift at its feet. And somewhere, buried beneath centuries of silence, the truth of the Sphinx still waits. And so, our journey through the world's great ancient mysteries comes to an end. From windswept hills to sun-baked deserts, from the silence of forgotten walls to the whispers of temples hidden in the jungle. We have walked among the remnants of civilizations long gone. These places are more than stone and earth. They are messages, written in a language we no longer speak, left for us to find, to wonder over, to question. Some answers may come in time, others will remain hidden, perhaps forever. But maybe that is the point. For as long as there are questions, there will be explorers. And as long as these stones stand, they will continue to watch over us, guardians of a history that is not yet fully told. So when you next walk among ruins, or stand before something ancient and silent, listen closely. You might just hear the faint echo of the past calling your name.